Good evening, and here's our news bulletin for tonight. The Public Accounts Committee, or PAC, a select committee of the Whanau Ekepule, began meeting with the government department heads earlier this week. PAC will assess the breakdown of the budget allocated for each department. Here's that story. The committee is chaired by Mutalo's MP Mrs. Maureen Melekitama, with Common Role member Moira Enetama as deputy chair. The committee members are members of Parliament Honourable Mona Ainu, Common Role member Emani Fagos Manawalui, member from Avasele Hitutu Tama Hitutu, and a Common Role member Robert P.J. Riggs. These meetings will end next Monday, and a report will be tabled in the next Whanau Ekepule on the 1st of July, together with the second and third reading of the annual appropriation bill. The island is experiencing a shortage of imported goods at the local stores. Most noticeable is milk in both liquid and powder form. Also scarce is butter and snack foods like chips. PCN News visited some of the local shops that sell essential goods and resolved varying explanations about their next shipments. Here's that story. Some shop owners alternate between shipment of frozen and dry goods. As PCN News found out today, the next boat will bring in dry foods that includes milk and butter for some shops, while one shop owner said the next shipment will consist of frozen food only. PCN News also visited CJ's and spoke with the manager on site. She says the shortage is due to the company being new and still firming up supplying arrangements of New Zealand sourced goods and also Fiji sourced goods. The short supply of the largest supermarket on the island is causing customers to clear out stock in the smaller shops. However, one shop owner says this increase in traffic in smaller shops is also due to locals still having a large preference for New Zealand sourced products than the line of Fiji products that have featured at CJ's since the company took over the large supermarket. The Niue Ocean-wide program gathered the Resource Management Advisory Committee on each village, or the AMEC, at the Scenic Matawai Resort yesterday evening. The event was an opportunity for each AMEC to share what they learned during the Now and AMEC New Zealand Learning Exchange Tour that happened in March this year. This is George Valiana with that story.
One of the objectives of the trip was to build knowledge from seeing and experiencing firsthand what MPA management and sustainable management looks like in practice. The tour consisted of visits to 8 locations, including a visit to the Goat Island Marine Reserve north of Auckland, which is a fully protected no-take zone, and also a visit to Tiritirimatangi Island, where the AMEX learned about ecosystem restoration. The tour also included a workshop on marine management, which was hosted by MFAT, DOC, and MPI of the New Zealand Government and local iwi. First to present was the Tamagotonga ARMAC, who are looking into temporary and permanent protected areas, while Toi ARMAC gave some overarching perspectives for their marine work, such as that conservation is about being active and not passive, and that sustainability is about everyday choices. All of the RMACs that presented noted the lack of size limit enforcement, while now CEO Brendan tried to lull any expectation of quick setups of MPAs, encouraging a process of consultation to follow where proper advice, whether science or any other, is utilized. One key takeaway from the RMAC presentations is their shared understanding that effective management comes from combining traditional knowledge with science and government policy. Georgia Valiana for BCN News.
Following on from last evening's AMEC catch-up with Now, BCN News spoke with Hagen Siosikefu, who is part of the Alufi North AMEC. From his presentation, some of the work that he learned from overseas that may be important for Niue is the introduction of bylaws for all village councils to adopt and enforce to achieve better marine conservation outcomes. Here's George Valiana with that story again.
Mr. Siosikefu says Alofi RMAC is looking into creating bylaws that cover anti-littering, road tolls for Alofi roads, and the use of rangers to enforce or monitor compliance.
Those are some of the ideas that we saw or brought back from our trip to New Zealand. It's tolls and also spot fines for different types of activities, mainly for the preservation of our marine life, not to take the small ones and not to take over your size or quota limit. At the moment, we don't have any laws on that. There's no legislation or enforcement of any kind of arrangement. So what I'm thinking of, what we're thinking in Alofi North is maybe introduce some of those bylaws as village council bylaws to help in that area. And no better team but the Aramac teams to help enforce those bylaws if the village council decides to enact them.
Alofi North is part of the makeup of the island's capital, which accommodates the bulk of the island's activities. Alofi North does not receive extra funding in addition to the usual allocation from the government for village councils.
For Alofi North and Alofi South, we're a bit different as we're the town and where everyone comes into town for every day. And the way we're looking at this, that the government should be assisting with the keeping of our roadsides as well. We saw in New Zealand, right, they have road tolls for commuters that use certain roads or bridges or tunnels. So why not we apply something similar here on Niue for the Alofi areas.
Two representatives from the NGO Pacific Island Students Fighting Climate Change, Mr. Shahil Gandra and Mrs. Lilieta Soakai, have been on the island these past couple of weeks to conduct interviews for the Witness Stand project. The project seeks to collect frontline testimonies of the impact of climate change on our local people.
The group has taken the Witness Stand project to many countries and most recently in Vanuatu. Lilieta says she's grateful that she has learned a lot more from our people than they had anticipated and will incorporate these accounts in their regional and international work so that Niue's voice contributes to their work.
Been communicating that we have 3 key outputs for the year. The first is the continuation of our Witness Stand series, which is online and you can see other stories from the Pacific but also other parts of the world. We've been lucky to collect a few submissions to that project from here. Looking to COP31 in Turkey in November, we're looking to use some of the accounts of harm and the interviews that we collected here to be part of that report and to feature Niuean voices in the climate space, both at regional levels and international levels.
When asked about the challenges of their work, they say it's talking to people who have been very traumatized by the impacts of climate change and some who portray a sense of hopelessness because they believe climate resilience is very challenging and largely unachievable.
Sometimes it's hard to interview them because they don't want to touch their trauma. So I think that's one of the challenging parts that I see in this project. And it's nothing to do with getting their stories and, exploiting it, but it's something that we want to share to other nations or other people, that people are suffering in the Pacific through climate change.
Climate vulnerable regions in the world. And the people that we've met, oftentimes climate change can seem like a really big thing that's much bigger than us and a problem that we can't solve. So for us and me as the person conducting these interviews, it can be hard to come across this sense of hopelessness that people have. But we hope that when we tell people about the work, then the accomplishments in the international law space and the climate space, that Pacific people can also see that they and we are the people that can come up with solutions we need.
They're not aware if there are any Niuean students associated with the NGO, but the group can be contacted through their website if anyone wishes to join.
We haven't had a chapter in Niue. We have chapters in Fiji, Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, and Tonga, but we haven't had the networks or opportunity to build relationships with youth in Niue. So if anyone's keen.
That's psfcc.org. you'd find a section where you can become a member and be part of the organization. So you can sign up. It's really easy. There's no requirement as you need to have degree or you need to have some sort of education. You just have to sign it up and we'll receive your application and then we can review it.
Liliata says knowledge gaps are an opportunity for intergenerational learning about climate change.
I think there is a knowledge gap and we tend to see that across generations. I think young people in our generation have grown up with a general awareness of what climate change is and how it relates to the region. And our elders, our matua, have the knowledge to understand how climate change is affecting the land and the sea, but don't necessarily connect it to the phenomenon of climate change. I think that is sort of not necessarily a gap, but an opportunity for intergenerational learning. And young people can learn from our elders, and elders likewise can learn from young people if we just sort of pool our specialties together.
Sahil and Liliata's affiliations on the island have been Niofa and the Women's Alliance for Climate Change, and their main point of contact have been Lisa and Presley Williamu through the 350 Pacific and Greenpeace Pacific.
Anyway, Public Health reminded the community to be vigilant of dengue and other health risks in the Pacific. Public Health says while there is currently no confirmed dengue outbreak anywhere, there is still risk due to travel and the presence of mosquitoes on the island that spreads dengue.
Public Health says dengue is still circulating across the Pacific region, including in nearby countries Samoa, Tonga and New Caledonia. Across the region, there are 3,708 confirmed cases, 156 in hospitals, and 3 deaths reported in 2026 so far. The notice also includes other health issues in the region, namely measles, whooping cough, Zika virus and Ciguatera fish poisoning. The key message for the public is that prevention is the best protection, and by working together as a community, we can keep Niue safe and healthy.
The village of Hakupuatua held the annual show day last Saturday, although the cold and windy weather could have delayed the arrival of visitors. Most of the food stores were sold out within a couple of hours of opening, a common occurrence for all show days. And if you'd like to watch the coverage of the Hakupu Show Day from last Saturday, you can watch it on Channel 1 on your TV channels tomorrow, Friday at 7 p.m. And that's our news bulletin for tonight. Losana Soniholo saying good evening.